Good afternoon, everybody. For some people, it is still good morning in the Central Time Zone and in the California time zone. So good afternoon and good morning. Thank you so much for joining this webinar we have put together. This is on the testing as a service. So we're going to go through a couple of slides and agenda, and hopefully we will have time to show a live demo of this, a trailer of the live demo. So today's webinar is the automated and integrated testing. In short, this can be offered as a service to the end users or any other type of a customer. My name is Jay Chitkara. I'm the Director of Customer Success and PMO at ERPA Group.
And I'm Kiran Biravilli. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer and one of the partners in ERPA.
So the agenda is we're going to cover about ERPA Group. We will share the common challenges PeopleSoft customers face today with repetitive testing requirements, and then the benefits of why testing needs to be automated, integrated, and also what kind of intelligence can we put in. Can we put human intelligence in it? We will share our unique approach to functional integration, and even covering stress and performance testing all together in one package. We'll share some past performance and case studies. And
yeah, so a lot of you may have know us by name ERP Analyst. Just recently we went through a rebranding exercise to call ourselves ERPA, to call ourselves after our core values. The things that we represent: empathy, responsibility, and passion, agility. So we felt, this is how our employees describe us, this is how our customers describe us, and this is how our suppliers also describe us. So we said, what best way to ensure the values persist all throughout the organization than to rebrand ourselves after our values. And so, and we started our operations in '99 by design from inception as a PeopleSoft focused company. And over a period of time, we grew into the BI, OBIA, business intelligence, and the cloud applications of the Oracle Cloud predominantly, and the big data service offering. So we actually have an entire division dedicated on big data that is developing and deploying Gati framework built on open source technologies, reducing the data processing times by 70%, and that can be a topic for another day. The managed hosting and managed services is where we take ownership of your system, and basically from infrastructure to so in a way we take your PeopleSoft and make it a cloud type of application. So you don't have to worry about updates, tools upgrades, or database upgrades, or any of those. All of those are performed on our end, and you use the application as an end user. And it's all your data. You own the data and everything. So we actually had a presentation on that topic a couple of weeks ago. If anybody is interested, we can send a recording. And next. So, a quick summary of some of the certifications and awards that this is a small sample. The things that we are actually proud of are the best places to work and top workplaces, and we have been consistently on the charts for the best places to work, and that's something that we take near and dear to the whole company. So this is something I touched on earlier. So anything and everything under the umbrella of PeopleSoft is something that we do, whether it is upgrades, managed projects, or implementations, or hosting, or just managed services, remote development support, anything, right? But we also have some unique offerings as testing as service and PeopleSoft application security as service that is bundled with compliance and auditing and the whole 9 yards, right? But some customers may just want an additional person to support their operation. We'll do that too. And no deck is complete without a logo slide. So most of the attendees are higher education based. So we thought we'll showcase some of our higher ed customers. This is again a sample representation. So we do have some attendees from a non-higher ed base from some of our existing customers like City of Boston and few others are also on the call. But we will actually do a deep dive with them for their industry later. But I guess in today's presentation we will touch on some higher ed related examples and situations.
Right. Thank you. So going through the agenda, we covered through the ERPA, and coming to the testing side is the challenges for PeopleSoft customers today are repetitive testing requirements. Obviously, because PeopleSoft, once you purchase a PeopleSoft application or a module, you go through typical upgrades, you go through typical bundles, patches, updates. These are called as PUM now, or PUM images in the new world of 9.2. You also go through new module application implementations or even customizations, because not everything is delivered in PeopleSoft as an ERPA package, or you may have your own unique customizations. The regulatory updates come through for 1099, tax side on the HR finance side, and also financial aid side on the campus solution side. So these are our repetitive testing requirements. It's around the year. We also our customers deal with the audits and compliance. Obviously, when things get changed, they want to know that, are you following the change management policies? Are you following best practices? Show me how you move the code from dev, test, QA, UAT, all the way to production. And also, universities get hit with different types of audits, and even public sectors too. So they can be state audits, federal audits, because we are dependent on these grants. The customers are, especially the public universities, or companies like Deloitte or KPMG. We definitely want quality. When I say we, I'm putting myself in your shoes as customer, that our customers want quality, making sure that we have tested enough that we don't have a production fix later on. But then also, testing is costly. So there has to be a middle way. If we do too much testing, we are limited on time. If we do too less testing, we're going to have production fixes. And because of the lack of the time, we end up doing positive testing and not negative testing. We're not trying to break the system. We're only trying to see that, does it work? And what happens is when it goes into production, different data comes through and the quality gets compromised at that time. So how can we look into a standardized type of testing? How can I integrate testing? Integrate meaning the data goes from HR to finance, or student financials to finance system. So our data is integrated. You have a department ID which gets created in HR, and it can go to campus solutions, it can go to finance. And during the typical upgrade, we're testing these features, but they are in a isolated databases. So how can I integrate the test so that it is seamless? So we're not spending time communicating from one department to another department and losing time on it. The other challenge is the time and personnel constraints. Finding the time, I think I shared before, finding the time to complete the testing, because users are busy with their day-to-day operational things. If I put myself in all of your shoes. And then anytime a change comes through, do I need to retest everything, or can I test only a thing which got changed? So there are pros and cons to both. If a customer tests only the things which are changed, then obviously integrated testing will be lacking, and there could be a production issue later on. So, but customers don't have the time to retest everything, even if a small change is introduced, right? So there's a time constraint at that time. The personnel constraint is we can have people leave. We can have a functional lead who can leave, who can be on a sick leave or can be on a vacation leave, planned or unplanned both. So we're normally finding time, when is the best time to do an upgrade? When is the best time to apply a PUM image or a bundle setting? So these are our day-to-day challenges in terms of constraints. The other thing is performance. Anytime a new change gets introduced, whether it is hardware related, software related, customization related. We normally test the customers are faced with the challenge that I've tested everything from a data point of view, but how can I assure the performance, that the performance is fine? If a change is being introduced, let's say on a W2 page or on a student center page, can I simulate a load of 1,000 concurrent students or 500 concurrent students, or during the W2's time, can I simulate a load of maybe 100 employees and see that nothing happened? So how can I catch capacity issues before it becomes a production issue? Before I start seeing that the wheel of, the death, some people call it, or sometimes it used to be called as hourglass. So periodic benchmark is needed all the time. So these are challenges for the testing for PeopleSoft customers throughout the year. So the solution is the automated testing, and the benefits of automated testing is, one is the efficiency. Obviously, if the users are busy on the testing most of the time, then many of our tasks are on a back burner. And back burner, I'm talking, which is not even lit sometimes. Our project keeps on getting pushed further and further away. But if we automate our repetitive testing requirements, then we'll be efficient. We'll be able to work on other tasks or projects. And this is on a case study. This is a real case study where a pay cycle was closed, which normally takes 2 hours in 5 minutes. But I'm talking 2 hours, which is where the user is doing nothing but testing. The user is not getting interrupted in the office, which is not realistic. Normally, it happens that way. It takes 1 or 2 days because the customers mostly don't have the time, because they're spending maybe 10%, 20% of their time on a daily basis or on a weekly basis on testing. So they do get interrupted with production issues and all. Integrated end-to-end testing, I shared that before, that we want to make sure that the customers have the automated testing framework in their hands, where the data transfers from one module to another module, or even between one module to another application, like campus solutions applications to finance applications, or even non-PeopleSoft applications. So many of the higher ed, I recently went to the Alliance User Group Conference in February, and in Vegas. I'm hoping most of you were there, and I noticed there are so many booths over there. There are so many add-ons, softwares we have for campus solutions and even for finance. So there are non-PeopleSoft applications like TouchNet, Parchment, or even Jagger. So sorry about that. There's so many applications there which are interacting with PeopleSoft. They're either getting fed into PeopleSoft, or they're getting the feed from PeopleSoft. So how can I integrate that? How can I train new users? How can I even schedule the test scripts? So these are the benefits of automated testing, that I don't have the time during the day, but I can't work 16 hours a day. So can I schedule my testing to be done in the evening hours? So what our framework is promising is these features, what I'm trying to show. The artificial intelligence in it, the decision-making scripts, meaning on a PeopleSoft page, on a typical, what happens is that we are faced with error messages or warning messages, right? And they all vary based on data to data. Sometimes we have to make decisions based on how the data is. And so the benefits of automated testing from ERPA will include the artificial intelligence in it, meaning zero-touch automated testing features. You don't have to touch it. It will go through one application to another application, and it will do a seamless testing. I shared before that stress, load, performance, and even mobile. Nowadays, especially in higher ed, many students are coming through their mobile devices, whether it is Android or it is iPhone or even any other device like a different operating system. So how can I provide a single service which combines the functional testing, stress and load testing, performance, and even mobile testing, and a data-driven stress testing I shared before. The error reduction that's another benefit of automated testing. Because it is repetitive, we will be able to catch the anomalies before the bundles or patch or any other upgrade or a fix goes into the production. So because it is repetitive, we're going to share We're going to test it on every type of mobile device. We will be able to test on every type of browser. The quality will be assured, and we will be able to measure the threshold that before a system upgrade is happening, before the PUM is being applied to production, what's my threshold? Can my system handle, how many concurrent users can my system handle? That will be the question. And the management reporting will come with it, meaning at a developer level, at a functional lead level, or at a manager or director, or even at a CFO level, or even at a registrar level, that can I have a management reporting which is in plain English or with dashboards and reports, which will show me how many tests passed, how many tests failed, whether, where am I in testing? So I don't have to email. So if I'm a CFO, then I don't have to email my direct reports to find out or sit in a meeting, but can I have a dashboard which I just can click on it and it will show me where my testing is at. So in conclusion, these are the benefits of automated testing. The monetary benefits I also wanted to share. Typically, your personnel labor testing cost for the end user. The numbers what you see on the right side is a higher ed, a tier 1 type of a university who may have all 4 pillars: portal, finance, HR, campus solutions. The numbers what you see on the left side are the numbers where they may have, like a city of Boston or any other public institute where they may have only HR and finance and not have portal or campus solutions at that time. So typically this is the cost in terms of number of end users. This is an opportunity cost slide, that what can I do else if I don't do automated testing, if I'm an end user. This is the cost saving you're looking at the end of the day, that this is the cost-wise, this is what I'm saving. Of course, we don't feel this cost because this is a part of being an employee, but this is an opportunity cost of what I was sharing before. Can I do something else? And if I can do something else, then that much cost I save in terms of testing. So we have pre-created automated scripts, which will reduce these repetitive testing costs. And the time-saving benefits, so I measured it in terms of what I'm trying to show. I measured it in terms of dollars. Now let's measure it in terms of time. So this is what a typical customizations, typical upgrade, typical time it takes for a customer to do this. And this is in terms of weeks. So for example, when you're looking at an application upgrade, if you're going from 9.1 to 9.2, the customer will take about, and I'm talking from all cycles, because you have to do the repetitive test over and over again until you have fine-tuned everything works fine, especially with the data refreshes. A typical application upgrade is taking about 20-25 weeks, which translates to about 4 months, and sometimes it takes more. I've heard like when Harvard University went from 9.1 to 9.2, it was a 1-year-long project. So when you are looking at university at that large scale, it does take that time, and majority of the time it takes during the testing time. ERPAs, our pre-created testing scripts, will reduce the testing time by 1/4 or less. Hopefully we'll be able to show a small demo. I just want to see if I'm doing okay on the time. So this is what it takes over here, and we have a strategy to on a PUM and a regulatory update. Kiran, do you want to add here?
Yeah. So on the regulatory updates and the continuous delivery model of PUM. So actually, let's see how many of you are on the latest release of PeopleSoft. Let me launch a poll question. So if you could please take just a second and answer. I'll share the results as soon as we have some decent poll turnout. So yeah, so let me, poll is out for 20 seconds. So I know there are not many early voters. So yeah, so far it shows about 40% of the users are on, only 31% people voted, but of which 40% are on 9.2 and another, but most of them have combinations of, especially on the campus, significant portion of people on 9.0 looks like. So let me switch to the other question so that the combined information can help us. So this is a second poll, just to see how many of you have campus and portal combination working and so on. Yep, almost everybody on the call, except for few, looks like have campus. And combining the answers of the previous question, I am assuming campus and 9.0 is one of the predominant thing. And for HR and finance, the predominant combination is 9.2. So the PUM and regulatory updates make sense in every scenario, right? So let me close the poll. So regulatory updates, the tax updates or financial aid updates or, so many things that happen on a set calendar, right? And on top of it, now PeopleSoft has this continuous delivery model of PeopleSoft Update Manager or PUM images. So we are seeing a lot of images come through with decent functional additions, especially in the fluid area, right? So it's like, if I don't update PUM into my environment, I'm basically not using, I mean, people are used to doing these big upgrades once in 3 years, once in 4 years, but PUM requires a strategy where you need to operationalize it and think about it more like regulatory updates that we do regularly, but now the same mindset needs to extend to PUM. Right. So when PUM comes in, when we are applying it through the demo, dev, test, QA, and the golden and prod, and the change management cycle, one of the biggest pain point there is testing. Right. So we could limit testing to just the functions that are touched by PUM, or we could do the entire system testing. Every time we do a PUM, depending on how often we are waiting. I mean, if we are applying PUM as and when they come out 5 or 6 times a year, versus if we want to wait till the end of the year and apply all images at once, the testing strategy can change. All right. So in one of our managed services offering, what we do is we let the customer choose the frequency of how often they want to apply PUM, and along with applying PUM, we also bake the testing into the service, so that it gives a auditable, verifiable record of what came in the PUM and what was tested and how it was tested. So it gives level of confidence and assurance, right? And next, so some of this testing that we do is we have a robust test lab that includes all different kinds of operating systems and tablets and mobile phones and different form factors, iOS, Android, and different browsers and browser versions, right? And the mobile versions are especially important considering the fluid and the millennial generation of students on campus, that you never know what kind of device that they want to access the application from. So
Right.
so our service includes testing from all combinations of devices, right? So Jay?
Especially I want to add here is the all browser thing, because mostly what happens is it works in Firefox so-and-so version but doesn't work in different version. So things get moved into production, and then later on we're troubleshooting an issue for a important user, because you can't test everything, but because it is tested, it is automated, it is possible to do it now to gain that extra time. That's why I was saying 1/4 or less, because it does take less than 1/4 of the time, but we can combine other features now where we can test every types of an issue. So because these are repeatable automated tests, we can put that in a project lifecycle. A project lifecycle typically takes dev, test, UAT, and finally it goes to production. But that's what the normally project lifecycle takes. we're offering all types of testing, repeatable automated test, which assures the quality, but without compromising efficiency. So that the quality thing, which I was talking before, that how can I can't test everything. We have other things to do. So now we'll be able to do all types of testing because it is automated, it is integrated, and on all devices, all browsers, and all mobile operating systems, which we can use it throughout the project life cycle. So this is what guarantees a solid product when it goes into production, where we will have less and less production issues.
Yeah. So here is, earlier in the call I mentioned our big data practice. So on the big data side, we have a need to manufacture data. Again, it sounds odd, but we actually have proprietary tools and technologies that we use to mass produce millions of rows of data on big data on the big data platform. But what we were able to do is borrow the test genie, the test data generator tool, and adopt it into our PeopleSoft practice. So what this does is, again, all of this testing is happening with your configuration data. So with your business units, with your department structures, and with your job codes and everything. But if I want to test a mass enrollment, I need to come up with some sample test data, right? Or if I want to test employee hire and employee related actions, or new life events or whatever, right? So I need to come up with test data. So what this tool does for us is it has the ability to combine your configuration data and the randomly generated real looking names, real looking addresses, real looking social securities and date of birth, all of those, and use that for testing purposes. So that we never have to struggle again for doing any of these automated testings. We can just simply at a click of a button we can generate. We don't need to produce millions of records because that's not what we are trying to achieve here. But we are able to use the tool for what we need and go forward with the testing.
Okay. So I was mentioning earlier before artificial intelligence, and I was talking about the zero-touch testing. I was talking about the data-driven decision-making scripts, which will be able to handle error and warning messages. So our pre-created scripts have that feature built in. We are able to pass the data from one page to another page, meaning from one module to another module. Typically what happens is a user enters the data on a page, on a given page, then which traverses through many other pages, and then later on they may run a process, whether it is financial aid related process, or it is or if it is on the HR side, if it is a payroll related or time and labor calc, you name it, right? Which requires a process instance number. So you're picking up a dynamically generated number, whether it is an employee ID, student ID. So if a HR bundle is being applied and I'm hiring 10 different types of employees, those employee numbers are going to be unique. Today what we do is we hire those people, we create a dummy data, typically with the manual testing, and then we pass on to other departments, benefits or payroll, to do the rest of the processing. But now we don't have to do that anymore because it is integrated. We're able to pass the numbers generated from one page to another page, right? Whether it is invoice number or even chart fees, So making scripts intelligent, and not just talking in terms of data, but also in terms of operations. Operations in sometimes you're clicking on a button, and that button is executing a people code, and that people code can take forever depending on how busy or slow the system is. Our scripts will be intelligent to wait for that action to complete and then only move ahead, which is what a human being does. A human being is checking that the hourglass is still going. The round and round wheel is still moving, so I can't do anything. Everything is grayed out. So how can I teach that machine? If you look at it today, so our scripts are going to run in a snowy condition, in a rainy condition, and also in a bright, any type of a condition. If you look at Google driverless cars or any of the cars today, sometimes they're not able to detect whether is it a truck in front of me or is it a sky in front of me. And that's why, but our scripts will be able to handle all types of conditions, which will have the artificial intelligence built in. And the integration so the other thing I was talking about, integration and end-to-end testing. This is how the integration end-to-end testing will look like, where we'll be able to pass the data between PeopleSoft modules to other PeopleSoft modules, PeopleSoft applications to other PeopleSoft applications, and even non-PeopleSoft applications. So you may have grades being posted in Blackboard side or campus side, so you will be able to interact. We can tie all the loose ends together. You may be feeding data into a document imaging system. You may be feeding data into a business intelligence type of a software, whether it is Hadoop or whether it is OBIE or OBIA. Our data, you'll be able to tie all the loose ends because the data starts from the transaction systems. It starts from the transaction system and it ends maybe in the BI area. We'll be able to test end-to-end whether the data goes all the way. So again, once again, when you're talking about automated testing, we're talking about no semi-automation here. We're talking about totally a solution which will be integrated in end-to-end testing, whether it is PeopleSoft app or any non-PeopleSoft web-based app.
And at this point, let me launch another question. And guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to type it in the questions window of the GoToWebinar. We have a policy of no questions left behind, so we will answer every one of them. If we don't cover all of them today, we will certainly circle back and answer those questions. And actually, the earlier slide, I hope, Brian, I think your question is answered. If not, we can get into more detail. So our testing automation framework, we bring the methodology with it, right? So it's not only limited to PeopleSoft, but also all the surrounding applications that are around PeopleSoft. They don't have to be around PeopleSoft either, but that's the area of our focus has been. So all the systems that are feeding into and integrating with anything that is like a browser driven, we have ability to test. But the systems that we showed in the earlier slide are the ones where we already have pre-created scripts for. Okay. So and this is not a surprise. Most of the answers are no. So that's the so 17% of the customers have a pump strategy in place, and 50% they do not have a pump strategy, and 33% is still work in progress, which is what we see even within our customer base also. So we are actually helping them move towards having a frequent pump application strategy, because most of them are resorting to once a year, and gradually we are taking them in our service model to 3 times a year or 4 times a year, depending on the customer maturity and their operations calendar, busy and free times. Right? And same question on the automated testing. Okay, so, and this is something that everybody feels the pain of, that every time there is a payroll tax update, now I need to go and separate myself away from operations and do payroll testing, right? So what we were able to do was automate all of those types of testings also by running a payroll in an environment with tax update and in another environment without tax update, and then our tools do the compare and map them back to what changed in the tax code. So so that the payroll testing is pretty definitive, right? And we use similar approaches for other regulatory updates. So let me close the poll, and most answers are no, and let me share the result. And about 10% are work in progress, which is not a surprise because you know, testing is a hidden cost, right? So it doesn't show up on as a budget line item. So that's where a lot of times it's difficult to get focus onto testing. But that's the thing that we are trying to change also. Okay. So Jay, next one.
Yes. Yeah. Did you close the poll? Okay.
Yeah, I did.
So if I can add on that small thing, it's great that 30% of you have automated testing in place. This is good, and then the 60% is no. Just one thing I will say is that make sure that everything what you're testing is you have a plan in place, because what happens is when a firm keeps on coming through, when you go from 9.1 to 9.2, how many scripts will have to be reworked again? So keep that in mind.
So, one of the things we actually use this testing framework in creative ways. That we can definitely schedule these tests, but the reason we highlighted the minutely option is a different purpose. There we are actually using the testing tool more as a monitoring tool, so that for all our hosting customers and our managed services customers, before their end users know something is wrong, or if a distribution node is, if a report is not posting, or if they're not able to log in, or if they're not able to run a query or do any of those things, even before our end users know about it, our managed services team and managed hosting team, they become aware of it, because our tool is trying to do it, do the user actions in the background, navigate through the application or run a query or run a dummy job. It's doing so many things in the background. So the chances of us knowing before our customer knows are very, very high, right? So we use, so our testing framework comes with these capabilities, and that's, we have, our imagination is our limitation, right? So we can use it for the tool in so many different ways. So, Jay, and this is an important thing for especially larger organizations, where everything has to go through a ticketing and tracking mechanism, so that the KPIs are measured, and the quality of a project is measured, and people's incentives are tied to the quality of deliverable and everything. So the ticketing, our framework, our methodology integrates into Jira, MongoDB, and all of these standardized off-the-market and off-the-shelf softwares, and it also has a REST API integration capability, meaning I can integrate into anything else if it is REST API, which is pretty much the standard in the market today. So so we can, this is another way we can provide the management reports and view. And Jay?
Right. So, so far we covered some of the functional features, some of the technical features. Now we're covering the, if you remember the 10th or 11th slide, it was talking about management reporting, the benefits of automation. The benefits of automation is, like as Kiran was pointing, are the only limitation is our imagination, right? I mean, because it's an automated tool, it depends on how we use it. The management reporting and dashboards will look like this. It's just a sample, which is only showing a sample of payroll reports. But because it is integrated with software like Team Foundation Server or Git or Subversion, we'll be able to integrate at to give that management report at a higher level, whether it is at a so at a finance, for example, you want to know, is my GL done? Is my billing done? Is my what's the testing looks like in the procurement area? So we'll be able to aggregate all the test results at the top. And the other thing I want to talk about is our results will not only include the dashboards and reports, but it will also include the screenshots of every action. So this is like a visual report of testing, whether you're looking at a bottom level, intermediate, or even at the top level, right? And it's in plain English. It's not a geeky type of a result that I need to have a QA analyst reading this report. It can be understood at any level. Okay? So the test results would include the screenshots, of every test action, every mouse click, every keyboard action. So if we typed a business unit, if we typed if the user clicked on add a person in the new hire, it's going to show that highlighted, which will be very important when an auditor looks at it. Today, our manual test scripts are a pass or a fail. We show them the Excel, this was the data was used. But now we not only show the data, but we can show in real time that this is the test script, this is how the test was executed, and this is how the results look like. And it's all going to be saved, which you can attach it to your change management tools like Stat, or if you're using Fire, or if you're using any other technology, then you can, or like if you're using ServiceNow, or you're using Sharewell or Jira, that's where you attach your change management documents. You can attach those documents in a PDF format or HTML format. So it assures the quality. It also assures the training documentation. So if you have a user who leaves your university or your, so I worked for many public places before, and that's one of the things that when somebody retires or somebody leaves, that how can I train a new person? Now we will have a training documentation in place because of these screenshots. So an example.
And actually, the screenshots are very important on failed tests because those give the exact replication steps for whoever is trying to troubleshoot to figure out if the script is wrong or if the system is wrong. The replication steps is another huge hidden cost saving because they don't need to call for another hour-long meeting with the end user to figure out how exactly they arrived at the failure. It's all documented.
So it's 15 minutes left. Right now it's 11:44 in my area. I'm in Dallas, and I want to make sure that we cover this up and we have time so let me speed through some of the slides. So a typical example of our pre-created scripts will look like this. For example, we will have scripts for campus solutions, finance, HR, or even outside applications. This is how an application or an external application will look like. Some people call it as pillars: campus solutions, finance, and HR portal, or interactive hub. Under that, we will have the modules, and you can do that in and the other under that module, the sub-module. This is how the scripts will look like. So if I'm testing using a student test ID, or my scripts will look like this, that I want to make sure that I can add a class, drop a class, view the grade, print my unofficial transcript, or view enroll classes, or change an address. Typically, this is not everything. This is just a sample example I'm showing, but we will have pre-created scripts ready. It will integrate with that data thing we talked about. It either can be manufactured in our test lab, or we can use your configuration data, like we said before. That's a choice of that when we calibrate it, using this one as a service. It will be our scripts, but it will be the data in collaboration. The case study I wanted to show. So this is a case study where this really took place. So we talked about earlier minutely the recurrence thing. So you can check ahead of the time. So this is like a synthetic monitoring. So this is a case study was done where this one is really in progress right now. And these are the modules. These are the where the automation testing is taking place, and this particular public university has benefited from this type of automation. Okay, and so in other words, let me spend some time here on this one. So most of the testing tools or monitoring tools, they just check whether it is running or not running. That's what they say. So sometimes your app server could be running, sometimes your web server could be running, or process scheduler could be running, but the processes are stuck. Sometimes your process scheduler says it's running, but the processes are queued. They're not going forward, or they keep on showing in processing, but they're not being posted. It's a normal thing. We'll be able to test end-to-end testing. If a process is not being posted, we will know that immediately within 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and we'll be able to troubleshoot that issue, fix that issue immediately before a user reports the issue to a help desk reports the issue to the user, then user reports the issue to the IT. So all the time and frustration which happens throughout that cycle, it can take 3 hours, 4 hours, or even a day sometimes, depending on if it is happening on a Friday or something. We'll be able to monitor it immediately as a synthetic monitoring. And then automation thing I talked about before, that how this was in place. So case study, this was done, as I said before, this was where this is really in place. So I just wanted to share some data where the automation testing is in progress or completed. So because we have time limitation of maybe 10 minutes left, so let's go through these quickly. Kiran?
Yeah. So, one of the things I'll skip quickly through these, right? So in the performance, it's not just the regular load testing and everything, but for our hosted customers, for our managed services customers, we are actually able to simulate scalability situations, and especially during student enrollment, when thousands of students are trying to register to that easiest professor's class. So everybody is competing for those limited resources, right? So for our hosted customers, we actually are able to scale up in real time the web servers and app servers and the backend servers in the infrastructure in real time response to the load on the system, so that the university, they don't have to go through a system crash type of situation, or where they're having to ration the students that and last names beginning in so and so letters. Your student enrollment is this week, and everybody else you do it next week. So we don't have to divvy up any groups or anything, and we are able to scale the infrastructure in real time. So we are using testing not only for just the verification of functionality, but also for monitoring purposes, and also intervening the scalability issues and the capacity issues. So we are using these things in so many other ways. If you guys want to get a deeper dive, I'll just release a quick question. If you guys want to do a deeper dive, let's not spend more than 30 seconds on this slide. Choose an answer, and then we can set up a call where we can actually go in a deeper dive where how the automatic scaling of web servers work, and those other things. So okay, we have 5 more seconds and I'll close the poll and let's move on. Okay, I'm closing. So yeah, I see a lot of interest in, so we will certainly reach back out. And
Okay.
yeah, so we are able to combine the functional testing and load and performance testing. So we are able to simulate hundreds of students trying to log in from various different devices at the same time, trying to register into multiple different courses. And so in a way, not use one single script and load it up to 100 users or 1,000 users or 5,000 users, but we are actually able to combine the functionality and the load simultaneously and initiate it from various geographic locations and various devices and various browsers. So we are able to do all that within the same framework.
And these are how the dashboards for load testing will look like. They will not be, they can be understood at any level. Your summary of the goals, whether they passed or failed, whether I had errors on the server side, the graphs will be very, it can be easily understood. So let me do a recap because it's only 9 minutes left. Yes.
Let's skip the recap and jump to the
demo
trailer of the demo.